views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I love this. For those of you out there, Karey Keith of Majestic Insights Radio is in the house today. And why is that important? Because I'm just going to tell you up front to get ready for the call-in number for today's show. You know, because guess what? This is what she does. This is who she is. She helps us create these majestic insights so that we can live the lives we truly meant to live. And so today, as an intuitive coach, a teacher, healer, and, oh, dare I say it, psychic medium, yeah, she's joining us here today to, this is my language now, she didn't say this, just bang out the issues with relationships. That's what I'm talking about. Passion, yeah, beyond passion. Helps people look at their lives, whether it's a psychic reading or an awareness coach or body work or movement. You know, it's ABCD, all of the above. But beyond all of that, couple that, connect that to healing. And so you're going to get to hear from her about what healing modalities are. And by the way, how do we look at life in the context of relationships? Now, before we jump into this, Christine, who was on the last hour, mentioned something so super important to me. I have been talking about it for a year, Benny. Benny, I've been talking about the 4 blood moons. No, 2 years now. 2 years. And we are coming up on the 4th. And Christine, you're right. You know, it is about Shemitah and Jubilee. We are coming into the year Jubilee. Who doesn't want that? What is Jubilee about? It is about this notion of abundance and prosperity and change. That's what it is. It is more than hope. It is about faith in the eternal, optimistic possibilities of a universe that is endless. Endless. So what transitions do we need to make? You know, are they people? Are they places? Are they things? You know, we have relationships with everything. I got a relationship with my team here. I got a relationship with Benny. I got a relationship with Karey. I got a relationship with Linda. Happy birthday coming up, Linda. You Jubilee, born in the Jubilee, birthday coming up, blood moon deal. And then here we are. We have a relationship with all of you, which I hold very, very dear. So I'm going to say this up front. You're going to want to be calling into the show because you've already told me, and I know we're going to crank open the phone lines right now because that's what we're doing. Karey loves to take callers. 1-800-930-2819. And Benny, we started this with callers from day one. This just be what we're doing.
We do. We're continuing it on.
We're continuing it on. We continue it on. Karey, it's so good to have you here. Yay.
Thank you for having me.
All right. I'm going to start like weird. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Weird. You and I are going to get down and get a little weird.
Okay.
One of our callers in the last hour called in and mentioned the year of Jubilee and Shemitah. And, of course, I have been following Larry Huck, who has been talking about the blood moons. And, you know, he's an interesting guy. You know, he's been talking about the blood moons, but he's also been talking about Jubilee. And he also talked about when was the last time we had these 4 blood moons show up the way they're showing up, and what does it all mean? Now, I don't know about you, but I have been feeling an energy. And, he goes on to say, expansive is an understatement. So I want to ask you who taps into the universe on a special, in a special way every day, I want to ask you about this. What is your sense of what's happening in the world, and what have you been seeing in your clients and the people you're working with?
Well, there is a lot of change. A lot of people are trying to overthink the change instead of just like flowing with it. Grab your raft and have some fun instead of being so afraid and going into panic, because there is lots of vibrational change going on, and everything's just quickening around you, whether you're resisting that change or not. So we definitely just want to do this Jubilee thing. We want to enjoy this ride.
Yeah. And here it is. We're talking about a shift. We're also talking about the fourth blood moon, and we've had 3 of them so far, and we're coming up on the 4th, which I'll give people some information on in a minute. But it's not just the fourth blood moon. The deal is that these blood moons have a card on Jewish traditions, on what we call high holy days of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, right? The Day of Atonement. And so, which it happens to be the official start date for Jubilee, right? And this is not just now that it's happened, but if you go back in time, you can see how this has happened over and over and over again. Now, I don't know that I say that I understand it all, but here's what I want to ask you about. If there is this opening, if there is this thing, if there is, this scenario for change, then how do we let go of the resistance? I mean, how do we do it? Somebody asked me the other day, how do I just do it? How do I do it? How do I just go with the flow? How do I let go of the paddle? Karey,
Well, it's individually, it can be belief systems to where, change is bad, or you moved once that was traumatic and that's stuck. You can shift all those beliefs. But mostly it's just energetic vibrational patterns. People get to their own center, some pray. These holy days are a really good way to get people to line up, even if that isn't your particular religion or belief system.
Right.
The actual energy of the planet lines up better. So, if you want to talk to Mary and instead of the others, just the word Shmika is such a wonderful word. It just makes me happy. It lines me up. Just to try to say the word and to try to spell it even really lines me up more, because it gets me interested in the vibration of what that holiday is and how it's significant vibrationally to the whole planet. So whether you just take a walk in nature, or music is a good way, or you can pray or do your visualizations, anything that gets you back into your center. Or there's that whole dimension in the middle of the earth that's it's a little bit different than our dimension, but it's just pure supportive, like mother love. You can tap into that. If you just tap into the earth itself, you're going to pick up other people's fear and garbage that they've been sloughing on the earth. When you tap into the earth, you can either absorb the nature of the flora, fauna, and the water, or you could tap into the dimensional support system and not just everybody else's gunk that may be there. And then, boom, you're there. It's really that easy to align.
Well, and this is what we're talking about today, but in the journey, I mean, look, I do not have my own planet. Okay, contrary to, what I thought for a long time, there's not a planet up there that I live on and nobody else lives on it. I'm on a planet where I get to live on with other people, and I get to be plugged in to the things I want to be plugged in. And so we develop relationships along the way. And, so what is it about the relationships along the way that we develop that can affect our pathway to joy and happiness or not? Because I would be like, so out of my realm to even think that I could imply that other people don't affect me.
It's going to be the way you manage giving and receiving. And that can be giving and receiving air or water or nutrients from your food or energy from others, because the energy of who we are is bigger than our space. It's bigger than our personal homes. And so it's going to get tangled up with others. And it's really important that you manage your own. My kid had a project in school today where his opinion was, if each individual raises their vibration, then that raises the whole place. But so many people get caught into trying to drag other people down, or it's just like their magnet is on backwards. You want yours open so that you attract the goodness and that you have an ability to give and receive. Most of the problems, whether it's financial or relationships, your relationships are how much can you be balanced in the give and take.
Wow. I want to just say this. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be taking your calls, 1-800-930-2819, so that we can get some awareness, awareness to help us thrive while moving through difficult times. Well, just moving, period. To get to this place where we can really plug in to that thing that we call our lives. 1-800-930-2819. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, Karey's going to take us on a journey. How do we see the difference between my stuff and their stuff? How do I get between the conversation of, what? Am I a Garth Brooks song, or am I Katy Perry? Which am I going to be? Is it going to be about everything in my life being lost? Or is it going to be about fireworks? Let's take a short break, everyone. MajesticInsights.com. You're going to be able to schedule your time with Karey. We'll be right back with the show.
Yeah. When I get chills at night, I feel it deep inside. Without you, yeah. Know how to satisfy, keeping the tempo right without you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Friedman Schaub. Anxiety is in many ways a learned behavior, which is rooted in our childhood. During our early years, when we're the most dependent on others, negative feedback, judgment, or ridicule infiltrate our subconscious mind and leave us wondering whether we are really safe, lovable, or good enough. In response, a part of our mind develops protective strategies to keep us from getting hurt. Let's imagine that the anxiety you've been battling with stems from the part that has assumed the job of keeping you safe. Doesn't it then make sense that your anxiety makes you expect the worst, so that you are prepared, keeps you on your toes to avoid failure, or shames and belittles you before someone else can do this to you? When you consider the source of your anxiety as a vulnerable child that just tries to keep you safe, you no longer feel that you're the victim of your own mind, but instead are more easily able to take on the role of the caring, reassuring adult.
Let the transition begin. Tune in to the hit show, Majestic Insights Radio, Success for Life's Transitions, with host Karey Keith. Karey is a gifted intuitive coach, healer, and teacher who will lead you through her empowering techniques of ancient wisdom and awareness so you can live your happiest, healthiest, and most vibrant life. Let Karey teach you the tools of transformation that will help you experience success for all of life's transitions. To learn more about Karey, visit www.majesticinsights.com. Are you feeling broken from your relationships? Are you second-guessing yourself about friends, family, and lovers? Tune in to the hit show that's creating a buzz in the love-seeking community, Love Seeker Radio, finding love for your authentic self with renowned love coach Heather Lynn. Tired of dissatisfying relationships? Kiss them goodbye and power up your love seeker energy. Coach Heather Lynn reminds you that you can just be you, the beautiful and perfect you. Visit heatherlynncoaching.com to learn more.
Hi, I'm Tim Darter.
And I'm Steve Kramer.
Join us on Spirit Fire Radio. Discover how to add the mechanics of meditation to your day.
And watch yourself connect in a whole new way. Find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio.
Tune in each Wednesday at 9 a.m. for your weekly guide to practical mindfulness. And to learn more, visit www.spiritfireradio.com.
Are you seeking a more deeply connected and fulfilling life? Do you often find yourself feeling overwhelmed, overworked, or exhausted? Are you ready to embrace a life filled with more love, connection, and joy? Best of the month list and 5-star rated on Amazon, Conscious Being by author TJ Woodward will awaken you to your true nature. To learn more about how to get your copy of Conscious Being, visit consciousbeingbook.com today.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's great to have you here on the Dr. Pat Show, and I'm so thrilled to have Karey Keith joining us here today of Majestic Insights Radio. And we're talking about how relationships grow and change as we do or not. And it's important to honor ourselves as we expand, versus holding back. And so how do we do this? How do we go about it? One of the things you do, Karey, is you work with people globally and you help them in getting that insight into the things that are holding them back. Tell us a little bit about the best way for people to find out more about you and how to contact you for, your own session and so forth.
Well, you can go to majesticinsights.com. Or you can email me at majesticinsights@gmail.com. Or you can call 503-400-4603. But you can just go look at the different custom coaching packages that are up there, and we can do a session where we design something that's unique for you. And why it's so unique for people when you're really connecting to your relationship to where you are in the world of worlds is, it's different. You may have beliefs from another time. You may have your great-grandmother said something that's stuck in your psyche that you're trying everything to get around and can't. There's something about having a unique energetic perspective that we can say, okay, this is yours, this isn't yours, clean this up and draw your plan going this way. And then we get back together, and then your plan will really open up and expand from there. It's the normal things that we see every day that we know we need to work on, those we can handle. It's those unseen things in the unconscious realm that trip us up. And so it's just good to know what they are, and then we can take responsibility for how we choose to deal with them.
And I want to just say to everybody, you can find more information about Karey if you go to majesticinsights.com, Shay Parker's bestamericanpsychics.com, keen.com, kasamba.com, any other place, the drpatshow.com, Transformation Talk Radio. I want to just talk for a minute before we jump back into this. To have your world, and I'm just going to use my language, Karey, have your world exposed as Best American Psychic. To be out there like that had to take a new understanding of you and your life, because you're now out in the world, right? You have children as well. Sometimes we think people, such as yourself, Karey, you kind of live on this mountain and you're out there and you're not in real life. And that is so far from the truth. What did you have to do to step into this version of who you are? Because that's the first relationship, isn't it?
The economic situation that happened when the recession started, and where I lived, the people couldn't afford body work anymore, and so that shifted me more into coaching, and I was doing the theta healings, and I was flying back to Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and working at the breast cancer clinics doing healings, and I was happy with that. But then things shifted in my personal life where I had to stay home, and I wasn't allowed to fly away from my kids because I didn't have the proper stuff. So that's what really shifted me into being more of a coach and being able to reach people. And, in hindsight, it's a great blessing, but I have recently taken the great leap of faith just because Source told me to, and we moved to Vancouver, Washington now. So we're close to mountains, but now we're all in the trees, and it's so lovely and beautiful, and the kids love the new school, and we love our new home. And so sometimes you just have to hang on and go for it, because, you know, that's what you do all the time. People don't know they're doing that. When you have a baby, you don't know if it's going to come out crooked or sideways, and it always comes out just perfect for what it should be every time. And the unknown sometimes is scary, but that's where we find the new stuff, so we can also make it fun. And I like the adventure. My personal relationship with where I am includes adventure, so I'm glad to be back around people.
Wow. Well, I mean, it is amazing to see how we get divinely led and how we take action. Now, you know, part of this is for folks to really look at whether or not we can actually save our relationships and what the cost is of doing that. And for those of you out there that want to join in for the show, get a reading with Karey today, 1-800-930-2819. You know, look at. Sometimes we go to any length to save a relationship that actually is not meant to be saved. But there is a grip that we have on things and that we cannot let go of.
Well, and a lot of that is like the devotion. If somebody has a big part of yourself is devotion. So when you're devoted or committed, and that's a big ethic part of who you are, and you've given it to someone else, then to separate from them is like separating from a part of yourself. And people can't do that. And they have that same problem with the relationships if people cross over to the other side. You know, they think, oh, I can never talk to Grandma ever again. But being me, it's easier to catch them when they're on the other side because they don't have to call you back. But most people, they have that separation thing going on. So we want to keep all of our soul parts with us whole now. And then things that aren't ours, we want to take them away so we can clearly see what's going on. If you're in a passive-aggressive relationship and that person has you convinced that they can't live without you, then you feel guilty about leaving them because you don't want them to die, you know. And there's just all kinds of control dramas going on all the time that maybe when you entered that relationship, that's a safe place you needed to be to heal, to make the next step. But as your soul grows, all you know is you feel uncomfortable. You may or may not be sure why, but you want to be real careful not to blame someone else. Because whether you stay in that bad relationship or not, it's still your choice and how you manage it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there are some things that we don't really understand, but one of the things that I'd love for you to talk about is understanding isn't always the way to go. There's an emotional charge that happens, right, through some difficult times of change. And so, you know, what I'm talking about here is this notion of not just about the mental part of things, right? But it's like the emotional and then the spiritual part of things. You know, some people don't think about this, but you know, if you lose a job and you're moving on, or even within a job, I was heartbroken on a day I got promoted and I changed my boss. And I thought, this is really hard. And you just don't know what to do with things. We don't know how to say goodbye, and we don't know how to say hello to the new.
That's one of the biggest problems I find is that in order to allow change, like you said, I switched jobs, I have a new boss now. Often, in order to enable that change, people create the craziest drama and chaos because one of the parties needs out. So somebody will go cheat, or this will happen, or that'll happen, when maybe the overall picture is there just needs to be change. If we could change the human or society concept that we can't change unless it needs to be changed, then we'd be okay.
Wow. You know, I wanted to ask you a question. You work with people all over the world. Is there a pattern of things that are showing up now for people? You know, is there one thing showing up that, you know, you've noticed consistently in folks, something that they're wanting to heal?
The latest trend, and with these moons and stuff you're talking about, is I have seen an awakening of people who are looking for better. You know, this time last year, people were hanging on, how can I stay? And this year, they're like, I've had enough. Show me how to change.
Well, you know, this is really part of really looking, taking a peek down the rabbit hole without actually jumping down that rabbit hole, right? Yeah. You know, just taking a sneak peek and looking at things and seeing what's going to show up in a way that's going to help us. I don't know about you, but I am amazed by how many people that I either hear from or they call into the show or one thing or another that truly want a better life. It's not like I'm going to settle now just anymore, but I really want a better life. I really believe that there is this life that I can relate to and can have. And when we come back from break, I would like to talk with you about that. Okay. You know, how do we design this game plan, you know, for our lives, especially in relationships? You know, it's like a country singer once said, you got to know when to hold them and you got to know when to hold them. And that is not something I've mastered in this lifetime. We're taking your calls, 1-800-930-2819. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Karey Keith.
Plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again. Do you ever feel so paper thin, like a house of...
Artie Hoffman is the hottest psychic with the warmest heart and the host of the hit show Angels and Answers. A renowned psychic, medium, spiritual life coach, and an entertaining motivational speaker, Artie has helped over 15,000 people with his amazing intuitive gifts, his passion, and his humor. Call 877-ANGEL-02 to schedule a personal reading or to have your own psychic Artie party. That's 877-ANGEL-02. And visit artiehoffman.com and Angels and Answers on Facebook.
Tune in to Lucid Planet Radio with Dr. Kelly Neff. This hit show will illuminate your senses and empower you beyond your daily stressors and hardships. Renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly will captivate you with far-reaching topics and amazing guests as you wake to the greatest version of yourself. Learn to tap into your intuitions, think critically about our world, heal emotional and psychological wounds, and follow your passions to live your dreams. The Lucid Planet. Welcome home. Visit lucidplanetradio.com for more information.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish. Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases. It's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
Do you want the freedom to spend more time with your loved ones? Travel the world? Live spontaneously? Get ready, because the Chip Justice Show is here. Hosts Dr. Pat Basili and Chip Justice can help you build meaningful success while embracing life. Living a life you love is the end game in this new, inspirational, and empowering show. Positive changes for a life you'll love. Tune in every month on TransformationTalkRadio.com and visit PositiveChangeInstitute.co for more information.
Hi, I'm Tim Darter.
And I'm Steve Kramer.
Join us on Spirit Fire Radio. Discover how to add the mechanics of meditation to your day.
And watch yourself connect in a whole new way. Find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio.
Tune in each Wednesday at 9 a.m. for your weekly guide to practical mindfulness. And to learn more, visit www.spiritfireradio.com.
Chance for you, 'cause there's a spark in you. You just gotta ignite.
Yeah, it's a fireworks. I love it. For those of you out there that are pinging me, the question really is, yes, the next Jubilee begins on September 23rd. And, that's it. And it is a new opportunity. It is a new beginning, according to the people that write about this. It's shouting to the nations across the globe that this is a time for a new beginning. It's a new beginning we've all been waiting for. And that is coming from a lot of different people that are talking about the fourth blood moon, the miracle of Shemitah and Jubilee. Today we've got a little miracle going on here with Karey Keith. Today's show, Relationship Transitions with Karey Keith of Majestic Insights Radio. What do we have to do about these transitions? What is it that we need to be aware of? And what do we do after we do become aware? Karey, thank you for joining me here today. Let's talk about awareness for a minute. I think awareness is one of these words that we say over and over and over again, and we don't really have an awareness barometer built in. And so sometimes we can become aware at the touch of a feather, and other times it takes a 2x4 smack in the head. So can you talk a little bit about awareness, what it is and what it isn't, and what the relationship between awareness and emotion is?
Yes, and we actually can build in those triggers. I have different clients who they want to know this or that about, if they're dating, about a person before they get involved. And we actually can go in and have Creator reset those triggers to where you'll have an automatic hit and you'll already know, okay, nope, that's not going to work, or that's true or that's not true, or I teach awareness all the time, but when what awareness is just the notice of what you need to know that's around you at the time. So when you're in traffic and you happen to, there could be something, you're hyper aware, you got 5 lanes, people are moving in, and you're aware of what's going on. But you are aware energy, you're aware psychically, you are able to do all that and still think in your head all at the same time. So everybody's being aware if they're out and about. But then there's this center in your solar plexus that used to be the intuitive center. There's 4 types of telepathy per se. There's solar plexus to solar plexus. There's heart to heart. There's mind to mind or crown to crown, and then you have soul to soul. And my awareness is on a soul level. We're in the mental level as a society right now. We've got the internet. We have all this information. We're in a very mental plane. But people who are like your animal lovers and people who are very compassionate givers, they often have these tragic circumstances all around them. And it's because they're still working out of the heart and solar plexus centers, and they are absorbing everyone else's pain. And so they take it on, and everyone around them will be happy, and then they have this pain going on. That worked back in the caveman days very effectively to keep everyone safe. But these days, when we're really in a mental level and we're moving into the more spiritual level, then we can shift those ways of interpreting intuition. So people say, my gut intuition, what you feel in your body. Well, the fight or flight gut intuition normally kicks in if it's something real important or dangerous. We want to shift that to where awareness is just awareness. If you want to buy a property or not, you can feel the energy of it. You can decide if you can change it or not. And basically what you have to do is to connect yourself. And that's where the animal people will, if they just stay with animals, they're these creative, wonderful healers. But around people, it might make them not feel so good. But you could take that same love and compassion and move it into a more knowing instead of a feeling. And then, okay, I'm aware the guy next door is a creep, but I don't feel it anymore. Where if I just feel something creepy, then my brain's always rambling trying to figure out what the creepy feel is. So you want your heart and your head working together all the time when you're doing your awareness. So if you get a hit and you're not, first you want to ask, is this mine? And if it's not, and say, okay, show me what is mine, and then work on that first. And when you work on that, then the other stuff, you could just be aware of it and handle it better than you can if you get pulled into the feelings of it, because then your adrenals and your brain and everything's going to react differently.
Yeah. As we're looking at these things, we're in the middle of, fight or flight. If something goes on in a relationship and we're not exactly thrilled about it, we don't really stop and think, wait a minute, is this fight or flight? Is this we just are like, natural reaction is either to fight or to get the heck out of there. And so how have you been able to help people tap into that level of awareness? And what I mean by that is manage our emotions. I think we have a misconception. And the misconception I think we have is that we're not allowed to be and express our emotions. And we're not allowed to have an emotional response. And so I think people sometimes get confused about, am I allowed to have an emotion? And if I have it, is it going to show up this way? You mentioned passive aggressive earlier, and I think we should chit chat about that, because it is, again, one of these phrases gets thrown around, but most people don't know what it is. And it is equally, if not more destructive than getting up in somebody's face.
It's true. Where, if you get in my face, I can choose to leave. But if you just drag me down and then pick me up, drag me down and pick it up, then I become codependent on you. So then I'm not clear if I'm crazy because you told me I am, or if then the person, the passive-aggressive behaviors and the way they play in, they pull your self-worth down so low that you don't know if you should save yourself or not. Where, in an aggressive fight, then at least you know what everybody gets to say. But like you're saying, in the passive-aggressive, people aren't allowed to express themselves. Mm-hmm. But often the two types are pulled together. And that's where awareness will come in, because let's say you've got a screamer. This guy's going to scream because that's what his parents taught him, and that's just how he is. And then you've got this other person that hurts them if anybody screams. They'll often be pulled together as a couple from some heartfelt or some chemical reaction or a soul connection, but they're not really compatible in the same household, because one has value on harmony and one has value on expressing with passion. And so they like each other because the harmony one wants to learn to express with passion, and the passionate one wants to learn harmony, but instead of learning it in themselves, they're trying to pull it from each other. And then it's all tangled up and you can't undo it, and it gets all complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, and it gets complicated, and we hear this a lot, right? And maybe we can talk to this. We hear the expression, "My gosh, this is some crazy making behavior going on. I don't know what end is up. I don't know if I'm loved or I'm not loved. I don't know if I'm in or I'm out." And someone said to me a long time ago, Karey, they said something to me, and it was in my own relationship journey. And I remember somebody asked me, as I was sitting there with the person I was in relationship with, and they said, "Are you two willing to close all the exits?" And I thought, wow, let me think about that. Are you two willing to close all the exits? Meaning that the minute that a bump shows up in the road, are you willing to not leave or threaten to leave? And I'll tell you, that is really something to give some thought to. Because if we are fighting or we are flighting, doesn't show up in the way that we work out conflict?
Yes, but it's really important in understanding, like this soul awareness. You might think, well, I just want to like the guy or the girl. I don't want to know about their souls. But the problem when it comes to day-to-day compatibility, it's really important, because I can see in their energy field the behavioral pattern that they set up with their mom So now the women that call in the lines are very often, when am I getting proposed to? I need this. I want this from this other person. And the other person's like, I love you, but I'm terrified of that. If you put me in that box, if you close all those exit signs, then they're going to be a cat in a cage and they can't function. So could those two people work out and have a good relationship? Yes, but you can't cage a wild animal when you're trying to let them express passion. You have to give them more room, and you have to understand that their point of view is different than your point of view, and don't be hurt because they're uncomfortable with what you may need. You just have to kind of work out a deal so everybody gets what they need at the end.
Well, and this is really what we're talking about. We're talking about living a life that is absolutely stellar, amazing, beautiful, joyful, peaceful, and it starts within. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at what does the inward journey look like? How does it show up? And where does it come from? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Siegel co-hosts one of today's most popular psychic shows, Angels and Answers with Artie Hoffman, as she communicates healing messages from the spirit world. These messages can be astounding, enlightening, and life-changing. Born with the God-given talent of inner guidance and the amazing ability to heal, Sky has healed thousands of people. Schedule a reading with Sky now. Call 908-500-1474 and visit skyofangels.com.
How would you like increased health and vitality? How would you like to avoid the onset of disease as well as slow the aging process? This is all possible through a simple, safe, and natural process. Every day we are either moving toward wellness or away from wellness.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. I'd like to be your partner in achieving optimal health. Contact me now at maryjanemack.com or call 425-392-0659. Visit maryjanemack.com.
Tune in to Prescience Life Radio with host Mia Simone. Mia is devoted to sharing her extensive knowledge on the invisible worlds of energy. Join Mia and discover the science of intuition and connect with your greatest gift. Start living in your potential today and every day by opening up to the power of inner knowledge. To learn more about Mia, visit presciencelife.com.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
Are you feeling broken from your relationships? Are you second-guessing yourself about friends, family, and lovers? Tune into the hit show that's creating a buzz in the love-seeking community, Love Seeker Radio, finding love for your authentic self with renowned love coach Heather Lynn. Tired of dissatisfying relationships? Kiss them goodbye and power up your love seeker energy. Coach Heather Lynn reminds you that you can just be you, the beautiful and perfect you. Visit heatherlynncoaching.com to learn more.
Dr. Linda Salvin, Metaphysical Master, now bringing insight and metaphysical abundance to your living room with her spirit-filled candle line, Wicks of Wisdom. Dr. Linda's unique formulations of pure and powerful herbs, oils, and essences can assist you in love, luck, finances, health, and more. Wait till you experience the power of Wicks of Wisdom. Find out how these amazing candles can help you. See them now and order yours at lindasalvin.com or call 888-509-1077.
Karey Keith is in the house. Karey, thank you so much for today's show. You know, I mean, this is a topic that's super, super important because, you know, I shared a little story with you. You know, when I first started this, I never thought in a million years I'd be doing this show. I started this in 2003, and again, a million times telling the story, I dialed the wrong phone number, and I thought I was going to do a certain kind of show. And then I got sick 6 months later, mystery disease, literally incapacitated, and I was looking at a wheelchair, and nobody knew what it was. And so the radio show was the only thing I could do, literally. And so my dream got shaped and cultivated. I was sharing something during the break with you about the first time I met Doreen Virtue. And energetically, I had no idea. It is because of my healing and because of the disease I had that I changed the nature of the show. And as a matter of fact, Benny started to call me Dr. Pat, Dr. Pat, Dr. Pat. And the show was never called that. And the listeners started calling me Dr. Pat, so we changed the name of the show. But that interaction with Doreen was the first time, Doreen Virtue was the first time that I understood about energy, and I understood about what you were talking about. And I was not able to depict that alone. And Doreen said, you have 1,000 daggers in your back. And she went on to tell me what that was about. So I would love for you to talk about how do you, and I know you work with people all over the globe, how do you work with people? Because I didn't see it. And you asked me a question. You said, did you feel it? And I said, you know what? I had so many things going on at that point in time in my life. I was on a new path. I had the radio show. I was sick. I don't know what I was feeling. But you'd have been able to help me out, right, Karey?
Right. Or like she helped you out. Mm-hmm. See, when we read energy, like she did, she saw 1,000 daggers in your back. Well, if someone else had that same energy field, maybe we would say it differently, because when we channel the interpretation of what we see, it often just comes out in the language of what you needed to hear. You knew where the daggers came from. It was a visual that resonated with you in a way that where you were allowed to say, yes, I let that go. When you say yes and allow the change energetically, Creator, Source, the Goddess will shift it for you instantly. And so it's about getting you to say yes. So we see the awareness and we will describe it in how it comes out at that time, which would be different for you or Benny or the listener. It would come out in their language. And but it will trigger you to the release. Even those people, you walk in and some people just aren't going to like you, but you actually are helping those people because you're triggering something in them that they're going to go change. So it doesn't we always want Jubilee, us happy junkies want our happiness, but sometimes other people don't want that. Other people grow with anger or discernment, and so I try to have my own little group of happy people that like to change, but those people need us too. And so that way, if you see energetically, say, okay, you trigger this in them, switch it, and then now you don't trigger that angry person anymore and they don't yell at you anymore. It really can be that simple when we're shifting the awareness. When you're trying to find your own awareness, you just have to find that center, like when you're praying or near the trees or whatever brings you that peace of God or the universe, however you see it, that energetic oneness. You want to tap into your frequency of that. And it's interesting you mention this because that's what I'm coming back to be with you on Monday, and this is the topic of our show. It's the energetic frequencies. But you want to shift that frequency into the happier space. You pretty much can do it as easily as tapping that supportive mother love, connect to Source, and then say, yes, change this. And that energy will change right then. Our visual on it, Christy Marie Sheldon says, just blow it up with love dynamite. And I just see these pink fireworks blowing up all these dark spots in people's energy. But it works. It works right now, today, and it puts a new twist on how you see the world. Sometimes people just need to know it's not their fault. You were sick. No one knew why. She says to you, because you've been psychically attacked, what are you going to do about it? And you're like, well, I'm going to fix this. And now your whole life is better. Your mystery disease is better. Everything got better.
Well, yeah. And I have to tell you, this did not get better overnight. I mean, I so resisted my life's path for years. I mean, this is really, I mean, you and I can do a whole show and dissect this and just talk about it, because I don't think I'm different than any of our listeners here. You know what? I'm a girl from the Bronx. And, you know, I wake up some days and I think, man, you got to pinch me. Am I really being on a show here, you know, today with Leslie Fontaine and then Karey Keith? I mean, is this for real? And the answer then comes back, yes. But for me, I was so against the grain, Karey. I mean, you know this. This is you too. I was supposed to be a big, fat corporate executive with a giant salary, making a lot of money, doing a lot of things in corporations that, just was not going to work. And that was not going to work for me. You know, I had studied the consequences of broken promises for 8 years. And I'm telling you, my life got turned upside down. So what do we do when we get that kind of stuff happening? And, you know, I got to tell you, we don't know what to do about it. But I know
you what to do.
How to help. Yeah. What
you do is you change the belief that it has to be hard.
Oh, thank you.
Just say yes to it can come easy. Life comes to me. You become the magnet. The lighthouse is on the shore, and everyone who sees it is safe. The lighthouse does not walk around the island trying to help people. The lighthouse stands its ground, and just the presence of what it is allows everyone to be safe and healed. And when you grow up in the Bronx, one, you've totally got to shut out all the white noise everywhere because there's just so much going on. And so your awareness is going to become more self-centered than the whole, because you don't really want to know all that stuff. And it's also puts you in that, well, you need to do this to afford to be here and this and that and the other. And so those are beliefs and mindsets that actually trains you to be the great leader that you are now. And so you have this more joyous, jubilous life than you had originally planned. But all that planning, it wasn't wrong. It wasn't a wasted 8 years. It trained you to be able to lead this group of transformation people who are changing the planet and helping people learn their awareness and their peace with their life and to follow their purpose, which helps everybody else. So it wasn't wasted. It's just they broke you down so that to get you to listen because you were not listening quite as quickly as they would like.
I wasn't listening at all. I mean, the listening I got was when I dialed the wrong phone number, I said yes. And then 3 months later, KKNW asked me, I said yes. In 2009, when I was helping a guy, WBLQ did the same thing, and I said yes. And I you know, this is really what I love about what you just shared, because the whole notion of being here with you is so not anything that comes from a business plan. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
I do not have a business plan. I did not know that I would, you know, be out in the world doing some things and paying for it out of my pocket, because the bottom line is sometimes I don't know what I don't know. But you and the work you do, you're the one that could help give some insights, because I am not really wanting to take the slow train. I grew up on the subway. Can you feel me here?
Yeah. Let's get it done. Get it done. It can be done fast. You can check on the website, majesticinsights.com, and look at the redo packages. They're intensives for people who want to get it cleaned up and move forward. It's not for the meek, the redo packages, but they're very effective. And I'm going to be coming up soon this month, the month of September. We're having a back-to-school special where all the redo packages are half price. So you have to email me to get that to go through on the computer. And just check them out. We can get it done.
Yeah, give out the website again. It's majesticinsights.com.
Yes, ma'am. And the phone number is 503-400-4603.
And for those of you listening, I mean, go ahead and check out what what Karey is doing. I mean, there's a reason why, she has been named, one of America's best psychics. And so out of this, it's not just about sitting there and helping you figure it out, but it's about giving you tools so that we can figure this stuff out ourselves. Karey, one last question. What's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with today?
Empower yourself and pray or attract discernment of what is yours and what is not, and then focus on empowering yourself. And then, it's like the oxygen mask. Put yours on first, and then everyone around you will be affected by your healing.
I love it. Karey Keith, everybody. Majestic Insights. Wow. Thank you so much for today. Those of you out there, thank you for tuning us in, turning us on. I want to thank Mr. Benny so much for pushing all the right buttons. I want to thank all of you for being exactly who you were meant to be. We'll see you next time.
Saved. Tides that I tried to swim against brought me down upon my knees. Oh, I beg and plead, sing.